slowing it down now on Fox Across America. We're reacting to the debate. This song actually, and I think my next guest will agree, is a good song to listen to if you pull in the garage, shut the door behind you, and leave the car running. Is it not?
Oh, like if you're going to end it?
Thank you.
This was a song that would play at my junior high dances, and I always wanted to be the girl that the chaperones had to come over and keep the boys from getting too close. The boys never got close enough. And I was always like, I'll dance. I will slow dance. I can do it. And I'm here. But I told you, in 8th grade, I got a flat top haircut to look like Pee Wee Herman.
Is that true?
Yes, thinking that I looked so good. And it was like a force field against boys. They were so repulsed. It's really sad.
The K train is here. Well, I will tell you what else was repulsive. This is how we segue in radio.
That's absolutely right.
That was a tough watch last night, man. It was a tough watch, K train. We were texting a little bit during the debate. Listen, I said this to the viewers right off the tippy top, if you wanted to start here. Yes, the moderators were an abomination and a disgrace to the format. That being said, let me just issue this caveat. Okay, any other Republican still would have given concise answers on the key areas where they have a clear advantage.
No, and you have to assume that you're going in at a disadvantage. You have to assume that everyone in the room is against you and plan accordingly. And, you know, I was talking about this yesterday on Outnumbered. And I said, this is my prediction, and my predictions are famously wrong. And I said, I think she's going to have a better night than everyone thinks she is.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, like, there's one reason that I haven't discussed publicly that I will with you today. But one of them is the reason she has done so badly in the past and so badly off the cuff is because she doesn't study.
Yeah.
She doesn't prep. And that was one of the biggest issues that her staff has had with her up until this point. But she wants to be president so badly. So the big pants people sat her down like, if you want to be president, you are going to be coached. You're going to stop the nervous laughter. You're going to stop freestyling, and you're going to do exactly what we tell you to do. She wants to be president, so she listened. So that was number one. Number two, I said the moderators would probably be on her side. And number three, they're going to move abortion up to the tippy top.
And did they ever?
It is not the second most pressing issue to voters.
Not even close.
It's not. I mean, you should have gone economy, inflation, and had one super block on that because that's the most important one. And then you go to immigration and maybe crime. And sure, if you want to hit abortion and climate change further down, that's fine. Where they had climate change in the debate, which their questions were stupid, that's where they should have had abortion, but they wanted to give her a win.
Yeah.
And all of her answers were so pre-canned, but you can't fault her for that.
Yeah.
She is working with a limited repertoire. She doesn't have that many natural assets to work with. So she cobbled together what she has with a very smart group of people, and she did what she had to do. You cannot fault her for that. No, you can fault her for literally everything else that has ever come out of her mouth. But in terms of debate performance, she did exactly what she had to do.
Talking to the K train.
And I'll tell you the other thing that I was going to tell you. She's sober.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, no, it matters.
Like, I truly believe that the big pants people sat her down and like, no more nervous laughing, no more freestyling, no more drinking.
Yeah.
And because I think that has probably gotten around to and I'm not the first person to say this publicly, but if you listen to some of the clips that you play on a regular basis, there is clear inebriation there. There is such a marked difference between the way she comports herself in the clips that you play and how she was on the debate stage last night. And I was watching it and I was like, that is sobriety. That is a sober person.
Yeah, Kamala's doing a dry January in September.
She has to do, if she wants to make it to January 2 Inauguration Day, she has to do a dry every
And that's
day.
That might be what's going on. Because the one thing I will say, okay, she lied a lot. They didn't fact check her on it. But her execution was flawless from the standpoint of the four biggest liabilities for her. She didn't answer the question. They didn't make her. Are we better off now than we were 4 years ago? She never answered the question.
No, and they didn't press her. There was no follow-up.
And they did that to him on everything. But they didn't ask if she supported any limitations to abortion.
Actually, we talked to the city manager in Springfield, Ohio. And it's like, go fart in your own face.
Because to add to that, though, okay, She didn't, when it comes to the border, answer David Muir's question on why are you waiting till now to try to secure the border 3.5 years into the didn't. She was asked about flip-flopping, didn't. And they left that open-ended. They didn't make any attempt to button that up.
But they didn't even say, you flip-flop here to here. And ask them, they're like, what are your values? You say your values, what are you? And it's like, what a stupid softball layup
because then they'd be like, Donald Trump.
So then she gets to go in her spiel about my mom.
I was a middle-class kid.
She was saved, and we didn't own our first home until we were teenagers.
And then they'd be like, President Trump, last Tuesday, you basically constituted a hate crime with one of your tweets. Kamala, how does that make you feel? That's what it was. It was crazy. Yeah. It was a sketch.
And David Muir, he just admitted that he didn't lose the election. So it's that.
I love when he fact-checked him on that. He goes, well, I didn't detect sarcasm in your tone.
Oh, I didn't realize that you were the chief sarcasm detector of the electorate. Thank you very much. You've been ordained, sir.
They should never be able to moderate a debate again. But that being said...
Lindsay and stupid way of spelling it with her lip injections, just... absolutely useless. She was only there as Kamala's wing lady to just set her up. And even when she had the pressing question about the flip-flops, the actual question wasn't tough and wasn't going to elicit a stumble.
It was the Dana Bash. What it is like in the Dana Bash interview, be heard out loud being asked the tough question, but you don't have to be heard answering it. It's like they felt credible. Well, we asked.
Yeah.
And then we just let her talk about her middle class.
I hope that George Stephanopoulos is just reading the commentary and the comments and the evisceration today, because you just know that he and David Muir hate each other. And I hope George is sitting in his office just cackling
rival pretty boys,
like my 15-year-old girl, my daughter, when she's on the phone with her friends talking about boys. I hope that's how hard George Stephanopoulos was laughing today.
He might have been, because it was that bad. But again, if you tell me that Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, whatever you think of Chris Christie on the eve of September 11th does not waste the opportunity to tie the open border, okay, and the policies that preceded this administration to the threat we face right now as a country. That was a missed opportunity by Trump. And the economy was too. I mean, it was. And
and so is, she's like, and the balls that she has talking about his rallies.
Yeah.
It's like,
but he took the bait.
Witch. He got shot at one of his rallies. And the fact that he didn't pivot to that right away and say, oh, yeah, you're going to denigrate my rally goers.
Yeah.
What about Corey Compatore, who
got killed?
Yeah, who was murdered at my rally, or the people who were shot and put in critical condition at my rally, the people who love this country and stayed there. They actually didn't walk out. Corey died protecting his family. You want to make fun of them too? Yeah. You heartless witch. And the fact that he didn't pivot to that, he does not deserve the W today.
That's the problem. And again, there's a lot of caveats to be issued about the moderators, or she lied. And that stuff matters. It's relevant to the conversation. It was the worst job of moderating a debate I've ever seen. But he still had 45 minutes to make the case and missed a lot of those opportunities. Now, the good news is if someone's listening to this and haven't shot their radio by now because they just like Trump that much and they can't believe we're just openly being critical, which is what we do on the show.
And it's what you should do. And by the way, you can also grow a pair. There's nothing wrong with honest analysis.
No, ma'am.
It's not an affront to someone's way of life in their country.
No, but this is another piece of honest analysis. Ultimately, this debate will probably move the needle 2 points. In the betting markets, they moved it 4 points. So she's at 51. She's 51.8% right now. So it was a 4-point swing ultimately, 2 points up, 2 points down. The widest swing in and predicted was 8 points, which is 4 up, 4 down. But even so, she sits in the real clear average with a 51% chance of winning right now, which means there's a long way to go in the short amount of time.
It's also the narrowest margin in his third go-round that he's faced, because he was... After the third, I was watching Fox News, of all places, and after the third debate against Hillary, he was down 7 points.
Yeah, and he had lost all 3 of those debates.
She got a massive bounce after the third one. Maybe they'll have another one in October. He better prep differently.
That's the thing.
Because Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered said he preps by having conversations. So he was having conversations with Lindsey Graham and Ron DeSantis and kind of spitballing the issues. It's not enough.
No.
He was not well armed. He didn't do himself any favors. He has to have completely different debate prep because he has to have a different outcome.
That's what it comes down to. When they say to you, you have a minute, you have to make a concise argument on behalf of a policy or vision you have for the country. It's not, nobody leaves.
Oh, they were giving him enough rope to hang himself.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, they were letting him go and go and go.
They're eating the dogs, and that's where, again.
That was the stupidest thing. Like, that's a Charlie Kirk thing.
Yeah.
And I've seen that going around on X, and I'm like, this is one of those things that is so wild that if it's true, you better vet the source
to the moon,
and have verifiable information.
Yeah, and they don't really, obviously. And
it's anecdotal at this point.
Yeah.
It's very sad that a woman lost her cat, and I hope she didn't find it hanging from a tree with a group of Haitian migrants like skinning it alive. I don't believe that to be true. I hope it's not true. Human beings are capable of some pretty awful stuff, but there are better arguments against illegal immigration than fanning those flags.
They're eating the geese.
Yeah.
He said the dogs. Well, there's one metric we have not analyzed, and Jessica is out in California, and she has a critical piece of breaking information she claims might be the reason for the outcome we witnessed. Jessica, hey, girl.
Hey, how are you?
Good. You got Kennedy on the line, too, so don't use any big words.
Thank you, Jessica.
Well, thank you both for your observations and your critical thinking and your humor, because I enjoy it very much.
Well, great.
Thank you. I wonder if there's been a Googling of Nova H1 audio earrings.
Oh, yeah, I saw that going around on X today.
Yeah.
Could be.
That she had earrings feeding her answers?
I don't think she needed the answers. I think
she memorized talking points.
I think, Jessica, if you're talking about some sort of outside influence, my gut tells me someone at ABC News got something to someone on her campaign. That is my guess. And I don't think it was one of the moderators. I don't think it was an executive producer. I think it was probably a low-level staffer.
Yeah.
Probably got something.
And it couldn't be like a high-profile employee like Donna Brazile at ABC, because she would clearly never give anybody the debate questions.
She wouldn't do that. And I don't think her name should be brought into this conversation.
But Jessica, do you believe, are you of a mind that it's possible they were feeding her answers?
Well, I think she had a lot to memorize.
Yeah.
She seemed to have memorized a lot and just be going to her go-to answers. As you said, she was not answering questions. She was going to her go-to positions about her mother, etc. So it's just curious. And in a campaign that's been so contrived, where her whole candidacy has been contrived, I just mentioned it for completeness.
No, listen, nothing in this moment would shock me about anything we're going to witness between now and Election Day.
But it's really hard to try and talk and be fed something in your ear at the same time. It's very, very difficult. What's more likely, because there's an automatic delay if someone is talking in your ear, telling you something that you're supposed to say in the moment, because you're converting one modality to the other, and it's harder to do. It's like a form of human transduction. It's harder to do than it appears. But I think it's a higher likelihood that she had the study guide beforehand.
Yeah, she had a pretty good study guide is what I'm trying to say. She might have took the course they offer before you take the police tests, where they just kind of give you the test once. But Jessica, it's an observation. The one thing too is, it's a very hard thing to hide in this day and age. Like, I know they say these earrings exist, but there are so many people analyzing this stuff from so many different angles. I feel like people would spot it. But again, I'm just humoring this at this point because I don't have an answer. But I appreciate you raising the point and letting us know where the people in California stand. The only thing I'd add to that, K-Train, is I talk with voices in my head constantly. It's difficult. I don't think she did that.
I don't think she did either, because I don't think she's fast enough to be able to convert what she's hearing into cogent sentences.
No, this is what I think she knew. Okay, to Jessica's point, if you're still with us, Jessica, and I loved her accent, and I'm mad that she's gone before I could compliment it.
No, I feel like I spoke to her when I filled in for you.
Because it made the show sound so much classier than it is for a moment. Jessica, if you're out there, we love you, boo. But stick with me, because the point I was going to make is she clearly knew that she wasn't going to be called out on anything because she was lying with impunity. Like when she did the Charlottesville thing back to back with the bloodbath claim, like those are such easily disprovable lies.
And they've been disproved like
a million times. A million times.
I think Washington Post everyone has already fact checked.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know why she would do that and just assume that they're not going to go. All right,
actually, honey.
Yeah.
But they clearly weren't.
Your senile boss tried that in the last debate, and it fell pretty flat.
And yes, like she literally could have sat there and said we faked the moon landing and not gotten pushback. Mm-hmm. I mean, for good reason, but we'll get into that.
Maybe
on
she
another
watched
show.
your special on Fox Nation.
Maybe she watched Moon Landing Fact or Fiction on Fox Nation. Listen. One way or the other, what I think happens now is I think the overall tangible effect on this is a Rorschach test. If you like Trump, you probably still like him because you felt like he got ganged up on last night. If you like Kamala, it didn't matter what Trump was going to say last night. You're incapable of voting for the man.
Are there still people on the fence?
No, I don't know that many are.
I think that pool is much smaller this go round than it was in 2020 or 2016. Yeah. I really do because he was an unknown quantity in 2016. People are like, well, I guess, maybe this is certainly weird. And then in 2020, people were so mad about the pandemic. And Joe Biden did just enough to not get fired.
Yeah.
He's like Peter in Office Space. But 2024 is very different. And people there are more people I've heard go, yeah, I hate him, but I really hate this inflation.
They don't. Nobody has the luxury. You see, like you had a luxury in 16 or 20 that you don't have now.
Oh, you know who has a luxury?
Who?
I'm so glad you used that word.
I'll give it to me.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, she does.
Taylor Swift and George Clooney. He's a half a billionaire. She's a billionaire. They are economically isolated and protected from any downturn.
Yeah, does not matter.
Worst case scenario, she's still got $100 million she's sitting on and a paid for real estate portfolio. She has to worry about nothing ever again. It doesn't matter who she endorses because it doesn't affect her life. Yeah. It doesn't matter if Kamala Harris jacks the corporate tax rate up to 38%.
She's cool.
It's not going to matter to her, but it matters to her fans who somehow managed to scrape together $1,000 a ticket to see her and pay for hotel rooms and flights and food and go broke doing that. Those people are the ones who are the most hurt by this economy. And that's why her little luxurious endorsement is completely disingenuous.
Yeah, just like a little button on a denim jacket. There goes the K train.
Get her out. Get her out of here.
This is Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla.